It is raining here.
Oh, it was beautiful here today.
Nice and steady raining today right now, which is actually not too bad. We really need it, actually, to tell you the truth, even for this late in the year. So, actually, California is the place that really needs it. With all the wildfires, you see some of those pictures of just how it looks so creepy.
I feel so bad for everybody out there because, I mean, that is, absolutely I don't use the word atrocious, but I feel really bad because it's it always is happening out there, and I know they're having a major water surge shortage out there, but I have to give credit where credit. Some of those pictures, they're haunting, but some of them have been gorgeous. I mean,
they're beautifully haunting.
Yeah,
beautifully haunting. Yeah.
Like the devastation it's doing, but some of those pictures have been eye-catching to the point of like you almost think like they're photoshopped. And
I was just gonna say someone's been doing really good with the shop. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, I mean, I feel so bad, but golly.
For those of you that just joined us, do us a favor. Go ahead and share this out. This is gonna be this whole week. The 3 episodes this week are gonna be just really super cool. Really want to get the word out. So share. Bribe.
Share with your friends.
Because sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. This is gonna be a fun one because we have a couple other ones lined up, and I think the other 2 shows are a lot easier for me. This one because I have not seen Okay, I don't want to sound snobby. I'll wait for the show. I'll just
Hey, Nathaniel, good to see you, man.
Because I know I'm going to have to repeat that like 7 times. People are going to look at me like, trust me, some of the things I've said to Alex over the weekend, she looked at me and like, what? How do you have a podcast? Like, what are you doing in life right now? You're not doing it successful, whatever it is. I've got a few more places to share out.
Sherry, I saw your little thing there before it fell off my screen. Do us a favor, please send us an email so we can follow up with you on the side. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Now I'm intrigued to read what was said because I can't.
Something about pins.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So.
Oh man, what is? I have no idea where I'm sharing anymore. I kind of completely forgot my line of thought, but it's okay. Because it's out there, and if you can't find it, you're not looking hard enough. That's always my philosophy.
Brian, we're not going to be doing any kind of trip review this week. We got something else planned. We'll probably do something like that next week. Especially Danny and I actually will have something that we'll probably share our weekend trips that we both took. We'll probably share that probably next Monday or next Tuesday or Wednesday. Because both of us had...
We could go individual during the day like we did with the unboxing.
Oh, we could do that. That would be intriguing. Oh, yeah.
Uncle Danny's here. He was just hidden behind the screen. All right, let's get this show on the road. I'd like to take a moment to thank those fantastic people over there at Fantastic Memories Travel. They can book you anywhere from a cruise to Hawaii to Europe, Mexico, anywhere you plan on going. Contact Fantastic Memories. But if you're looking for that specified travel agent, those travel agents that only deal with Disney and know everything about Disney, you're gonna want to talk to Mouse Master Travel. The Mouse Master Travel agents, they focus, once again, on those Disney destination vacations. They're the ones that wake up at 2 a.m. to book those pesky ADRs. They book those pesky fast passes, so you can kind of sit back, relax, and soak in the fun. You can find them at mousemastertravel.com. While you're there, please let them know that Behind the Ears podcast sent you. So you got your trip booked. Now you want a cup of coffee. Well, we've got it. Trader Sam's Coffee Company. They are the Artist Central roaster of specialty Disney-inspired coffees. They want you to brew some of that magic from Disney inside your own home. They've got designs and coffees to relate back to Disney, like Skipper's Brew, Ghoulish Delight, which is a cinnamon bun. They've got Enchanted Tiki Coconut, Red-Headed Rum, and so many other unique roasts. Their coffees are all certified gluten and allergen-free. And, they just came out with brand new artwork and brand new bags. Absolutely gorgeous. Trader Sam's Coffee offers an adventure in every bag. So start your adventure off today by simply visiting them at tradersamscoffee.com. But while you're there, take advantage of the Behind the Ears podcast special promo code. That is EARS20, EARS20, and that will save you 20% off your first purchase. Got your trip booked, you got your coffee booked, but you still want to get something for your kids. Maybe you're missing that one pin you've been wanting. Well, head on over to Mickey Monthly. What they do is they bring you a monthly surprise box of all things Disney, from, Disney trading pins and Main Street snacks, to even park merchandise. Packages start at a low $7, so you can cure that withdrawal today by simply heading over to mickeymonthly.com. While you're there, let me save you a little money. How about using our special promo code RADIO35, that's RADIO35, to save 35% off your first box. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I spelled that right in my head. I'll be completely honest. So you're sitting there, your trip's booked. You don't have to worry about anything. Your coffee pot is brewing. That's fantastic Trader Sam's coffee. You're just unpacked, a Mickey Monthly, and now you're like, wow, that took a whole 20 minutes. What am I going to do for the rest of my day? Well, why don't you sit back, relax, and watch some live streams from inside Disney right here on Streaming the Magic. And you can become a VIP member. What is a VIP member? Well, for $5 a month, you get exclusive streams only for VIP members and a special show with Behind the Ears podcast, that is Chris and myself, where we take and answer all your questions, and we do little fun things always on Thursday nights. So head on over to Streaming the Magic, request to become a VIP member, only $5 a month. What are you waiting for? Streaming the Magic proudly brings to you Behind the Ears podcast. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to this week's first episode on a Tuesday. We are Behind the Ears podcast. I am Uncle Danny, the man tapping on the other side of the glass, waiting patiently to say hello is Mr. Chris. Sir, how are you?
What's going on? Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? It's good to see everybody.
Yeah, I hope everybody had a good weekend. I know a couple people were requesting several things about, what me and Chris did over the weekend, with Chris meeting up with some people and, me going down to Miami. That is not on slate for this weekend, this week's shows. We already have our shows planned, but we might give you, I don't know, we'll say maybe a special show during the week, maybe during our lunch breaks. We'll figure that all out. I do see a couple people saying they have not received certain things that we sent out. Please send us an email over at behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com so we can figure this all out and get you all squared away. So, Chris, why don't you introduce the show to everybody?
All right. So here's the deal. Danny and I were talking the other day, and I just kind of came to me. I know that a lot of people like our top 5 or top 10s. And so tonight we're going to start a 3-part series on the top 5 movies as done by Chris and Danny. Now, that means Danny gets 5, I get 5. They may or may not overlap with one another. That's, we can do whatever we want, because both of us have different tastes. They don't necessarily have to be in order, but they're still 5 of our top favorites. And tonight, we are going to talk about movies that are animated and done by Walt Disney Animation Studios. The other 2 nights will most likely Wednesday night will be Pixar movies, a top 5 from Danny and me on that. And then on Thursday, we are going to end it with favorite live action movies done by Disney. And I'll be honest with you, this is actually one of those cases where I think there's a lot more going on here than what you think. There's a lot more to choose from. And you might be a little surprised at what makes our top 5 list for each one of us to create, somewhere between the top 5 and 10, depending if we have any overlap. I myself have some really good favorites picked out already. And we're going to try to give you a little bit of tidbits, can't talk tonight. Give you guys some tidbits on those particular movies and our opinions on why they make the cut. And we may even get to read some of your comments as well. So we'll have to see how it goes. We'll probably take some of your comments more towards the end of the show tonight. And I think without further ado, Danny, let's go ahead and get rolling. And I'm gonna throw you under the bus and say I want you to give me your first of your top 5 movies.
All right. I like going, from bottom to up. So my number 5 favorite animated movie made by Disney is going to be 101 Dalmatians.
Really?
Yes.
I know. You know what? For some reason, I would not have picked that from you.
Yep. The original airing was in January 25th, 1961. Obviously, the producer was Walt Disney. Disney has a way of re-releasing things over and over again. Yeah. The original movie was in 61. Then they re-released it in 69, 79, 85, and then the latest in 1991. It is based off of the 101 Dalmatians novel. It's a British novel from 1956 by Dodie Smith. It's such a good movie. It's a movie where you gotta understand that, hey, like for the time period when it came out, the graphics aren't what they are now, but they're still really cool. Here's a little back history of this actual movie. And these numbers are based off of what we're finding. The budget for that movie was $3.6 million.
Back in the 60s?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that was a lot of money back in the 60s.
It domestically grossed $144 million, just shy of $145 million to be exact. Wow. Worldwide was $216 million. If anybody's a Rotten Tomatoes fan, they don't really give 100% to really a lot of people. 101 Dalmatians received a 98%. So very high on the
tomato scale.
It's just such a good movie. It's adorable. I
will say it's a lot better. It's a lot better than I think the live action remake, modern day remake that they tried to do. I think the original animated version is just so much better, if you ask me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would 110% agree with that. There was a lot of talks that they were going to be remaking that in the more near future, but that kind of never really caught on. Cruella de Vil. I mean, I saw one of the best Halloween costumes I have ever seen by these two people. Ready? So this family had their little girl dress up as Cruella de Vil, and they had an infant dress up as one of the Dalmatians. Absolutely adorable. And we've seen so many great things inside the parks where Cruella de Vil walks around the park, and she interacts just like you would expect from the movie. Super, super cool. But Chris, what is your whatever number you want to throw out?
Okay, I'll try to start from the bottom as well. And this you're actually, I think, going to be a little bit surprised at this. Okay, to me, one of my favorites is actually Meet the Robinsons, circa 2007.
Wow.
Now, to me, Meet the Robinsons is one of the most underrated movies of all time, let alone a Disney production, if you ask me. And the reason why I say that is, it didn't get a huge, reception to it, so to speak. I mean, granted, it grossed $169 million at the box office, which was nothing really to sneeze at, so to speak. But you don't really see anything in regards to Meet the Robinsons these days in the Disney realm in of itself, right? But the cool part about it is that it was one of those movies that it was done kind of during a time that Walt Disney Animation Studios was going through kind of a hard time. Okay, there was a lot of restructuring and different things going on right around that time. And it was kind of interesting because at the very end of the movie, it basically had a quote by Walt Disney that, one of the last, cards at the end, so to speak, it basically says, we keep moving forward. And it was kind of a little bit of a, I don't want to say, that definitely wasn't a dig. It was a declaration. It was a declaration basically saying, we're here to stay as Walt Disney Animation Studios, and we've got something to show you. And I don't care for the movie just for that purpose, although that is a very nice and inspiring piece. The fact of the matter is that the movie was just, I think it was so funny because there's a lot of good one-liners in it. Just a great animation. I mean, yes, it was a computer animated film. It was, I didn't get to see it in 3D, although I think it could have been probably even, really slick in 3D. I wasn't too much into 3D movies back then. In fact, not super into 3D movies in general, but it was still pretty cool. And I do have the movie. I actually bought the soundtrack for it as well. I actually got the soundtrack for like $3, when they were releasing it, type of thing, or something like that. It was really good. It is a really cool soundtrack. One little note on the soundtrack: there is a version of A Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow done by They Might Be Giants. It is freaking awesome. It's awesome.
I hate to pop your bubble, but if you are a fan of Rotten Tomatoes, it only received a 66. But the nice thing is now we're not seeing a budget, for Meet the Robinson. We're not really sure why. I can't find the budget for it.
I can't either.
But it was, box office was 25.1 million. Domestic all time.
Really? I'm showing box office is 169 million.
That's worldwide.
Okay, fine.
I was talking just strictly opening weekend.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Opening was 25 million, and now I lost it. Domestic was 97.8 million, and then a worldwide of 169.3 million. So, hey, just because Rotten Tomatoes says it's not cool doesn't mean it's not cool for you. You know what I mean? Everybody's gonna have their own pleasure of what they really want to.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, but it's one of those cases. This is one of those movies. I won't. This is one of a couple movies, and I can't mention the other movie now because it's not for tonight. But if I see it on TV, I will stop what I'm doing and watch it. I mean, I could be doing almost anything. I'm like, whoop, wait, I'm going to watch this now. And it's really horrible because sometimes I'll catch it like on it really late at night, and I'll be like, oh crud, really? That's ridiculous. Now it's like 2:00 in the morning by the time it's done. So anyway, what do you think your number 4 is?
It's going to be, and it's one of my favorite Disney songs. We've had this conversation. It's going to be Aladdin.
Oh, I knew you were going to go this way. I knew you were going to go this way. I mean, it was perfectly logical for you to go this way. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
It premiered November 11th, 1992. You know what? It's one of those few Disney classic movies, and I consider this a classic movie, that has not been re-released. They have a play on Broadway. If you have been able to see it, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Absolutely phenomenal play, and I am not a play man at all. There was such a good message in it. It was a typical Disney message. Nothing to like, oh my God, but it showed that, no matter where you are in life, there's always an option. You can find love in the oddest places, and that's how Disney always likes to show that. But I really, to go with the movie, the meet and greets in the park have always been one of my top places to go visit. I mean, heck, they have a lot just basically centered in Disney around this movie with, the magic, the flying carpets, and, they've got the come on. I mean, they got so much great stuff in it. The budget, $28 million. Opening weekend, people started panicking at the box office. 19.3 million. They took a hit. But here's what happened. Since then, that movie domestically has grossed $217 million with a worldwide grossing of $504 million. That is $500 million. That is a lot, and it did get a 94% on Rotten Tomato.
You know, I'll go ahead and say something about the Rotten Tomato score. A lot of times, even if the Rotten Tomato score is really low, I'm still probably going to be a fan of the movie. It really kind of depends on what it's going to be like. But, let's face it, that movie is a classic. I mean, it is just, it has to be a classic. If nothing else, you watch it for Robin Williams as
exactly.
It really, I mean, seriously, you would be stupid to not put that part in is why it's so good. Yes, it's got some wonderful music in it. I love the music in Aladdin. I think it's really, really awesome. I think the storyline is really solid. I really enjoy the story. But let's face it, if Robin Williams wasn't ad-libbing half of the stuff that he was doing, I'd be surprised. But he made that movie what it was. Case in point, they released the sequel to it without Robin Williams. It bombed, and it was because it went to one of those during that time of Disney doing directed VHS type of thing.
You gotta love those days.
I mean, it was a pure stinker, but we won't focus on that. But I totally get it, man. I totally get it.
Listen, I think without Robin Williams, the original could have been good. I think it still would have been a solid movie. I think the basis was good. I think the writing was good. I think the score of the movie was fantastic.
Yeah. Robin
Williams brought it into my top 5. Okay. And listen, I am not, I wanted to say this before the show started and I forgot. My girlfriend Alex will make fun of me all the time for this. Chris has made fun of me for this. And then it's going to sound cocky for a minute, but when it comes to the parks, I can walk a park. I can navigate anybody around anywhere. I know where everything is. I consider myself more on an expert of being a park. When it comes to Disney movies, I don't watch a lot. But if you can make my top 5, you've done a good job, and Aladdin has done that.
I can see that. I can see that.
What is your number 4?
Oh, well, okay. So this is one of those tough ones because as soon as I got off of the number 5, getting to number 4 through 4, 3, 2, and 1 were really difficult. But one of my favorites, honestly, number 4, I'm going to say Brother Bear. Okay. Ooh. Circa 2003, November 1st, 2003, around that date, its premiere was the 24th. Here's the thing about Brother Bear is that I thoroughly enjoyed the movie because it had a storyline that was really kind of unique at that time. And it was kind of based upon a certain type of mythology. I'll call it mythology. It's not really mythology. A type of, I'll call it mythology. I don't know. I don't know the proper terminology for it. That, there was some real thought put into that movie. And, the fact of the matter is that also, it was very well done in an animated fashion. It was hand animated, traditional animation. But, it had some, okay, I'll admit, one of the reasons why I also wanted to go see it is because it had Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas. Rick Moranis, as most people know, is Dr. Wayne Szalinski from the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids fame. But he and Dave Thomas, what people don't realize is that they are also known as Bob and Doug McKenzie from the former SCTV fame, which is kind of like the Canadian version of Saturday Night Live. Well, when I was growing up, I laugh while I say this because it's bringing back such funny memories. When I was a kid growing up, I got introduced to Bob and Doug McKenzie and the movie Strange Brew. And so when I saw this came out, I was like, I wanted to see it just for their parts. And instead, I fell in love with just this movie. I mean, it's just really, really pretty awesome. And also, let's face it, the soundtrack was done by Phil Collins. Dude, this is one of 2 Disney soundtracks that I think go down in my listening lists all the time. At least some of it. Just extraordinarily well done soundtrack. And you guys all know that to me, it's all about the music. It's all about the sound effects. It's all about the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, yes.
I know. So it's just one of those things. So I haven't seen it in a long while as well. But the fact of the matter is I love this movie.
I've never seen it.
No, you know what? I'll tell you what. It's hard to find. And I don't know if you can find it on Netflix. If nothing else, you could probably get it from your local library.
I forgot that libraries rent movies.
Oh, dude, it's awesome to go to the library and just binge watch on movies from the library. I mean, it's especially Disney movies. You wouldn't believe it. Also, I'll throw this out really quick. If you can't find an old time Disney movie and you're looking for something, go to either a Goodwill or to like a disc replay or something like that, where they sell secondhand DVDs, and you'll probably find something really easily. So, all right. So there you go. What's your number? What's your number 3? I guess
my number 3 is Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah,
and you might be like, Danny, you're a grown man. Why do you like Beauty and the Beast? Well, not only before I get into the movie, there's a backstory to why I like Beauty and the Beast.
What's up?
When I was a kid, my mom had to go to work. She wasn't able to stay home with me. So sometimes I used to have to go to her job while she worked. Well, her job had like a little play area for kids. And they didn't have a lot of movies, but they always had Disney movies. And every time I was in there, which would be once a week, I'd always want to watch this Beauty and the Beast movie. Right, so to me, Beauty and the Beast has always... it's held more than just an actual movie in my heart. The original movie, it was released at the New York Film Festival September 29th of 1991, but then became, public to everybody on November 22nd. So it's not a terribly long movie, 84 minutes. The budget was $25 million, and the box office, they blew it out of the water, $425 million just on box office. Yeah. I mean, you've got Paige O'Hara, who I think stole the show. She did a phenomenal job, but who I think really people don't give enough credit to is this movie. It had 2 directors. It had Kirk Weiss, who's a very good director, nothing against it, but it also had Gary Trousdale. And some people might be like, who's Gary Trousdale? Well,
I was about ready to say it, but go ahead.
All right, so ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
I'll just name a few of his movies. Beauty and the Beast, he was also a creative consultant on the 2017 one. Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Hey, Rocky!
Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Megamind, Kung Fu Panda, Shrek the Halls, Flushed Away, Madagascar, and the Madagascar Penguins and Christmas Cake, The Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, The Rescuers Down Under, The Little Mermaid, Oliver and Company, and so on and so forth. This dude has had his hands in the cookie jar with these movies for a long time inside Disney. Absolute modern marvel. Love his work.
Sure. That's
my number 3.
Okay. That's excellent. I think that, you know what, I have to admit it is a real fabulous movie. I love it. It's one of my, I know I'd love all these movies because I don't think there's a bad one on this list so far, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my number 3, and I have to go back, and there's some history to this one, not just history because this happens to be one of the older movies on my list, but it also it sets apart a special place in my heart because of my daughter. Because my daughter would watch this movie all the time. When she was a little girl, one time she figured out how to set the VCR to repeat. And so she was watching it in bed, kind of as a bedtime routine. And instead of falling asleep, she just let it go until it ended and rewound. Started over again. It'd be really late at night, and there's Virginia just kind of staring at it. It was little Virginia, I should say. And that movie is 1950s Cinderella.
Ooh, now, I was waiting for that one to come up.
Yeah, Cinderella was one of the first Disney movies that I think I started to actually memorize the words to all the lines and stuff like that, just because of that. My daughter loved it, and you know what, I came to love it too. It's just a wonderful story. But here's also the other thing. There have been some variations on the theme of the movie Cinderella over the past number of years. Whether you talk about, like, let's see, the movie Ever After with Drew Barrymore, Ella Enchanted with Oh, what's her name? Tall.
You're asking the wrong guy.
I know. She was also in the Princess Diaries, which was also really cool. Anyway, and a whole bunch of variations on a theme of the movie Cinderella. But Cinderella is the ultimate classic. And even when they redid it in the live action version of Cinderella, I thought that it was very true to life of the actual story, the animated story version of it, type of thing. I mean, granted, it's, a French fairy tale from the late 1600s by Charles Perrault. So, I mean, the thing is that this is also another one that they re-released a number of times, 57, 65, 73, 81, and 87. I mean, if you think about it, we're not talking about huge anniversaries here. We're talking like, every 7-8 years, all of a sudden it's going out again. But it is definitely a movie that has stood the test of time. And I think even today, it's one of those classic movies that have to be watched by pretty much every family as a part of their Disney movie watching curriculum, so to speak.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a fantastic
Anne Hathaway,
movie.
thank you so much. Anne Hathaway. I was not going to sleep tonight.
yes, you were. Don't lie.
I know, seriously. I would have woken up at 2:00 in the morning, gone live, and said Anne Hathaway. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just such a great movie. It's an inspiring movie if you think about it. And I will say that my favorite pseudo redo of the movie was the movie Ever After with Drew Barrymore.
Ooh, yeah.
That is such a fantastic movie. I mean, not a Disney related, not really on this list, but if there was ever an adaptation of that particular movie that I saw it on a whim in the theaters. My wife and I loved it. It's still a movie that we have in our collection, and I'll stop and watch it, and I'll stop and watch the animated version as well. But I just love that movie. It has a special place in my heart. You're number 2 now.
My number 2, and this is a newer movie.
Okay.
It was a movie that I actually felt I didn't see it in the theaters. I happened to see it on Netflix come across. Okay. And I liked it so much. I immediately got done watching it, went on Amazon and bought it. And, and I don't buy movies on. No, you don't. That was probably the first movie in 5 years I had bought. Zootopia.
And you watched it because I told you to.
Absolutely. Absolutely stunned by this movie. How fantastic it was. And when I saw the commercials, I was like, it looks funny. Okay. It is obviously geared towards children. I get it. I was literally laughing for most of the movie. It came out February 13th of 2016. It released in 3D, then in some states on March 4th. Listen to this stat, ready?
Yeah.
The budget for the movie was $150 million.
That's a lot.
You want to watch what it did at box office? $1.024 billion. It did $1 billion at the box office.
10 times on an investment.
And that's not counting DVD sales, merchandise sales. I'm a huge proponent of adding Zootopia into Disney World. I have said it numerous times on this show. Yeah. I want Zootopia in the park. The characters are some of the people that I actually will stand in line in Disney to go meet. It's such a good movie. And I'll tell you this much. If you take all the movies ever made and you give me a top 10, Zootopia is in my top 10.
Okay.
That's how much I've really enjoyed Zootopia. Super great movie. And a lot of people thought it was Pixar.
A lot of people did think it was Pixar because of dare I say, because of the quality and because of the, type of movie it was. I mean, if you think about it, ever since Wreck-It Ralph, Walt Disney Animation Studios has not had any sort of a flop. Okay. I remember blogging about Wreck-It Ralph thinking, man, Walt Disney Animation Studios has a hit. Then guess what? The next one came out. Frozen. Need I say more?
Yeah.
And then after that, Big Hero 6. Oh my gosh. mind blown. Then Zootopia, equally blown, and then Moana.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, seriously, they've really been knocking it out of the park. But you're absolutely right. I totally get it.
Come on. If Flash didn't steal that movie for you when he's at the DMV, you're missing out on life. If you don't know what I'm talking about it, please go watch it. Me and Chris have done bits on the show. Absolutely fantastic movie. I will watch it anytime I have the opportunity to. So that was my number 2.
That's pretty cool. And you know what? I have to admit, I hope no one thinks I need to turn in my podcasting card for this or something like that. But because of that movie, I actually started listening to a few Shakira songs.
Fair enough.
You know, I mean, I'm thinking to myself, who is this? And
I like this beat.
actually, now that yeah, I do. I have Try Everything as well as a couple of Shakira songs on my workout playlist. Very upbeat, motivational. Thought it was really cool. But you probably want to know what my number 2 is now.
I do.
Oh my gosh. This is where it gets very difficult. Okay. And I could easily pick any of these. In fact, but I will tell you this. One of my favorite movies, seriously. And I'll be honest with you, the last, as I said, you know, since Wreck-It Ralph in 2012, I have fallen in love with virtually every Walt Disney Animation Studios film that has come out. But one of my favorites has got to be Big Hero 6.
I knew it. And you know what? I thought it was your number 1, though.
No, you're not going to, you may not be surprised with my number 1. There's a lot of people out there who probably think they're going to start wondering about me when I say what my number 1 is. But let me tell you a little about why I think Big Hero 6 is my at least number 2. First off, I love the premise behind the movie. You know, the fact of the matter is that it's got a lot of different twists, but it was also, you know, it's based off of an actual comic. And I didn't really realize this until after the movie came out and I started doing a little bit more, you know, a little more research on it, because it's actually based off of a Marvel comic. And I had no idea about that. And, you know, it was this, I mean, the storyline on how, you know, this group of, you know, ordinary people turned superheroes, so to speak, really was really pretty epic. And I thought it was very entertaining. There was enough action in it to be, you know, to keep my attention through the entire time, as well as any kid to keep their attention for the entire time. And what can I also say? The music was absolutely fabulous. And who doesn't like Baymax? I mean, seriously, if you've ever seen Baymax at Hollywood Studios, give that guy a hug. You know, because he gives the best hugs ever, as ever. You know, I tell you, it's really funny, and we still kind of, you know, quote the movie around the house, like, you know, if for some reason I do something stupid and I hurt myself, I'm like, ow! John will come up and say something to the extent of, a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your pain? You know. I'm like, and I can't help but to laugh at something like that. But yeah,
you gave me Zootopia, so I've never seen Big Hero 6, so I feel like I owe it to see if you can go 2 for 2 here and give me, you know, another solid movie, because you talk very highly of this movie.
I do. You know what? I really like it. I mean, it's also a little bit geeky, okay, and a little bit geeky and nerdy, all kind of mixed up. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of me, you know, in a nutshell, to be honest with you. I also thought the animation was really, I thought it was very unique, because they could have easily done it in more of an anime type of format, especially since they kind of, you know, combined the aspects of San Francisco and Tokyo, calling, you know, I always screw this up. San Francisco, Tokyo, or something like that. I can't. It's one of those things I just can't say naturally. It just seems really cool. It's a very visually stunning film. I mean, it could be a high def eye candy. Not to mention, if you sit in a really good home theater, the soundtrack it totally envelops you. If you have your home theater set up properly, it's pretty epic. I mean, it had $165 million budget, and at the box office, it grossed 657, almost 658 million. Really solid turnout for Big Hero 6. So what are you thinking next for number one? Now this is a big one. All the pressure's on you first, and I realize it, and I'm hoping you don't steal mine.
Okay, what could it be? How is Lion King not your number one movie?
Oh my gosh!
I mean, you got Pumbaa, you got everybody in this movie. You are just all over the place with the Lion King. I'll give you stats right off the bat. Boom, 45 million budget, huge budget. Only brought in 41 million off the box. You're like, wow, this is crazy. All time, 422 million. That means they made over $400 million just domestically. Here's the number. They're just shy. So everybody, if you haven't bought a copy, go buy a copy, especially if you live overseas, because they are at $969 million worldwide.
Wow.
Huge numbers for the Lion King. You have Roger Allers and Rob Minkoff were were your directors. It was released in 1994, re-released in 2002 and 2011. I don't think people realize this. Do you know what this was inspired by?
What?
Hamlet. This movie was inspired by Hamlet, which was written obviously by William Shakespeare in 1601.
You know what?
You can see it when you say
it. Thanks a lot. Now I'm going to have to rewatch it just to make that parallel now, because I could see the parallel in my mind. Oh,
right?
Great. I mean, now I know what I'm doing this weekend. Thank you so much.
Listen, there could be a lot worse things you could be doing on a weekend than watching The Lion King.
Oh, I know. Seriously. I mean, and you can't watch the movie without singing. You can't.
No. And John brings up a great point. And the man that a lot of people hate, and I've always been a huge fan of, it's a Michael Eisner movie. I mean, he gets a lot of slack for all this nonsense. Michael Eisner brought you some classic movies. But
think of some of the voice artistry in there as well. I mean, you had Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
You had James Earl Jones. I mean, seriously. Yes. I mean, come on.
You had Nathan Lane You had Whoopi Goldberg in this.
Seriously.
Jim Cummings, who I've actually had a conversation with this man, and I'm like starstruck because I'm like, you were in The Lion King, bro. Like, come here. I know you really didn't do much, but I need to have a conversation with you right now. Definitely a movie that breaks my top 5 all-time any movie, and definitely hands down my number one, not even close anywhere else, Disney animated movie. What about you for your number one?
Okay. So I don't have a little, audio intro to mine. But if my wife is watching, I'll probably, after the delay, I'll hear her say something in the background in the other room. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a little bit of background here. This is one of the first Disney movies that I remember seeing. I'll admit, it was one of those things. I remember seeing it, shortly before I graduated high school. And let's see, let me bring it up here really quick because it's 1989. And I really honestly think that this movie was beautiful. It was one. I mean, granted, I didn't see a lot of movies, before I graduated high school, so I didn't have a lot of money. So I kind of had to pick and choose what I saw. But I fell totally in love with the movie, The Little Mermaid, and that is my top movie. That is my absolute All-time favorite. I just think it's a stunning movie. I actually have an original Little Mermaid movie poster sitting in the Gusman Omniplex as one of the number of movie slicks that I have, original movie slicks. The fact of the matter is that the movie itself, come on, it's one of the best hand-drawn animated films. It kind of told a little bit of told a really good story. It had wonderful sub-stories along with it, fabulous music. The colors in it just drew you in. I mean, you can't not sing "Under the Sea" without an accent. You can't do it without you under the sea. No, you can't do it. Under the sea, under the sea. You can't do it without the accent. You know, it's one of those things. And I'll admit, the first time that I went to Disney with my family and I got to see The Voyage of the Little Mermaid, it rekindled my love for that movie just because of the music. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
But I just loved it. I just thought it was a really super movie, and
I am literally shocked though you went with that.
Why? What did you think I was going to go with?
I thought Big Hero 6 would have been your number one.
Oh well, I mean, because as I'm saying, it's so tough, right? I mean, we kind of limited our conversation tonight to a top 5 just because of time. Lord knows if we did, top 10, we'd
be here for hours.
We'd be here for another hour, But the thing of it is it really is one of my favorite movies. I will, it's definitely. Well, let's put it this way: if you think that list is good, just wait until we talk tomorrow night about Pixar movies. I mean, that's a whole new plane.
Spoiler: Toy Story is my number 1.
Yeah, well, I think we all know that. We'll go from 1 to 5 tomorrow, just to kind of get it out of the way, type of thing. No, but I really do enjoy it. As I said, I really enjoy it. Now, I will tell you this: I think if we got a few more minutes here, let's talk a little bit about some honorable mentions. Okay, I know I talked a little bit about the last 5 or 6 films that Walt Disney Animation Studios has done, and I got to be honest with you. First off, I loved Moana. Absolutely loved Moana. I really just felt like Moana is a fabulous movie. I know there are some people that were like, I don't get it. I don't get why it was so good. I totally loved it. I agree with you. Zootopia, fantastic movie. I watch that all the time. I mean, it's one of those things. I'll put that in the background just for background noise. And I will tell you, I like the movie Frozen.
Okay.
I realize that you're probably going to now go look for a new co-host.
Does anybody want to be a co-host?
But I actually like the movie Frozen. But the thing is, here's the thing. Here's the catch. I got to be honest. I loved Wreck-It Ralph, and Frozen I thought was equally as good. But then Big Hero 6 came along.
Fair enough.
And so it's kind of like, I just think they got better and better and better. I mean, I can mention, like, I know my daughter's favorite is like The Princess and the Frog, which was one of Disney's last hand-drawn animated film. And the music in that one is absolutely stunning. I love that movie. It's a great movie. Will admit, I had to watch like it 2 or 3 times before I saw the whole thing, because I would always end up watching it when I'm really tired. I fall asleep. But, but there are some. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Please finish your.
I was gonna say there are some stinkers on this list, and we might have to do next week. Top 5. I don't want to see that movie ever again list. We might have to do that again. But this week is all about our top 5 best. So that's all I gotta say about that.
So before we get ready to wrap it up, I'm going to give you the list of there are currently 56 movies. I will give you a list from numerical date of release till down. There is also technically 4 other movies that we have never talked about, because number 57 doesn't release until 2018, which is Wreck-It Ralph's Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2, which is scheduled release 2018. Frozen 2, which is also supposed to release November of 2019. And Disney has not yet released it, but we are looking at 2 more November movies in the year 2020 and 2021. I wonder what they could be.
Oh, I know.
So let's start. All right, so in order of original release date, starting in the year 1937, ending in the year 2017. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio, which is a fantastic movie. Hard not to get that in my top 10.
I know,
top
seriously.
5. Fantasia.
Another underrated classic, if you want to know the truth. So many firsts in that movie. It's just amazing.
Dumbo, classic. Bambi. Saludos Amigos.
Yep.
Never heard of that movie. 1943. Never even heard of it.
Well, you gotta deal with it just because it's got like Donald Duck in it.
Fair enough.
If I'm not mistaken. Or am I thinking of the Three Caballeros?
And that is the next movie from 1945.
Yep.
Make Mine Music.
Yep.
Fun and Fancy Free. Never heard of that.
A lot of these are I won't say shorts, but they are kind of like they had several portions of shorts in it to make one larger movie.
Oh, okay. Melody Time, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland.
I honestly could not get into Alice in Wonderland.
The new one was pretty good.
I have to see it. I still have to see it, but I do want to see the original eventually.
The fan favorite that we've seen a lot of people talk about, Peter Pan. The Italian side of me always draws to this one, Lady and the Tramp. Sleeping Beauty, 101 Dalmatians. Saw this one mentioned a few times, The Sword in the Stone.
You know what? Okay, I've got to watch The Sword in the Stone because it's been one of those movies that's on kind of like, I'll call it my bucket list, but I have got to watch The Sword in the Stone.
The Jungle Book, Aristocats?
The Aristocats.
The Aristocats. There we go. I can never say that properly.
Put the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Absolutely. Robin Hood.
Yep.
This one, I'm going to tell you what, this one came at number 6 for me, and you might be shocked.
What?
The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
I don't doubt that.
I love
it. Winnie the Pooh was my first, I think one of my first teddy bears was Winnie the Pooh.
I have the one with the dancing one where he holds the honey pot and the honey pot lights up. The Rescuers. That was fun. That was a fun movie. Oh, I didn't know Dick Seabass was in that. He was a good actor.
For which one?
The Rescuers.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I didn't know he was in that one. He's a really good actor. The Fox and the Hound. If you're into, Halloween theme, The Black Cauldron.
I haven't seen The Black Cauldron since I was a little kid, to be honest with you.
The Great Mouse Detective.
That was good. It was good.
Oliver and Company.
Yeah.
Chris's number 1, The Little Mermaid. The Rescuers Down Under. Beauty and the Beast. Aladdin. The Lion King. Pocahontas. Which is a good movie.
I'm surprised neither one of us mentioned that, but it was hard to leave that one out.
It broke barriers.
Oh gosh, yeah.
This is a movie I was not a fan of. The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I have to agree. I wasn't really a huge fan of it. Very good movie, but it didn't appeal to. Well, the storyline didn't appeal to me.
Never seen it fully through, and Alex hates me for it. Hercules.
You know what? Hercules was really kind of funny because it was like a musical, basically. And I think it was kind of surprising that it was kind of turned out that way.
Mulan.
I still sing songs from Mulan every once in a while.
Tarzan.
Yeah. Again, another soundtrack done by Phil Collins. I think the music in that one was actually better. In fact, I'd like to go see Tarzan Rocks when it was at Animal Kingdom several moons ago, more than I actually liked the movie itself.
Fantasia 2000, which was released on January 1st, 2000, by the way.
You know what? That was a really good movie. And I think people just blew it off. And I don't understand why, but it was really good. Again, it's kind of more of an artistic movie, which is probably why it didn't get the love that it deserved.
I enjoyed this movie, Dinosaur.
Um, yeah, I liked it. I liked it. In fact, I think the interesting part about the movie is just how it was animated.
Good movie. Never seen the full thing though. The Emperor's New Groove.
Gosh.
Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
Oh, it's one of those movies where it's like I liked it, but no one else did.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't anything where I could justify on a top 5 though.
No, nowhere near
Yeah.
near the top 5. But it's actually one of those. Gosh, I probably haven't seen it since the early 2000s, so it's probably due for me to watch it again.
I'm really shocked that neither one of us, not even us, no one in the comments I really saw. If you did, I apologize. Lilo and Stitch.
You know what? I will admit I like Lilo and Stitch. I just unfortunately,
Like other things more.
I like other things more, but I think what I think really kind of puts a bad taste in my mouth is just the idea of Stitch's great escape at the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Just kind of like,
You mean Stitch's great meet and greet now?
yeah, absolutely.
Treasure Planet.
Again, I think a very underrated movie, but it was like I saw it, I liked it, didn't love it, didn't necessarily love it, but I thought it was kind of a cool movie.
If you want to know about Treasure Island or Treasure Planet, excuse me, go read the book Treasure Island, the British novel, and it was, was it 1833?
1883.
1883. Okay, I literally can't. I had scrolled past. I didn't feel like going back up there. Great book. Treasure Island is obviously the book. Treasure Planet was the movie. Brother Bear.
Yep.
A bad Home on the Range.
Oh my God, that movie
was so bad.
That movie was a movie that I think Disney, after they released it, said to themselves, "What did we do? What did we do? We did something wrong." That movie was horrible, and we'll talk more about that during our top 5 most hated movies.
I mean, I have to admit though, it was premiered on my birthday, March 21st, so I was kind of pumped about that. Another bad movie that got too much traction, I believe, Chicken Little.
You know what? I don't think it was as bad of a movie as that it was just poorly done.
It was overall bad.
No, I mean, okay, I'm sorry. Joan Cusack is a fabulous actress, and she does voices really, really well. And I don't know what the heck they were thinking, but part of her character that was in there, and I can't remember the name, but it was just like, it was like fingers on a chalkboard. And I don't know, but I thought it was a little bit of a stretch versus the usual Chicken Little story, but it was cute and all that, but okay.
Let me see. Meet the Robinsons, Bolt, which I have not seen.
Oh, don't bother with Bolt. I mean, seriously, don't bother with Bolt.
You know what the funny thing is? Bolt is a Disney animated movie, but the theatrical short is Pixar's Tokyo.
Tokyo Mater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. The thing is that Bolt had John Travolta and Miley Cyrus in it, and
that's an interesting mix.
It is an interesting mix, and the fact of the matter is that it was a good movie, but the rewatchability of the movie, in my opinion, is definitely missing.
Fair enough. The Princess and the Frog, which you mentioned your daughter loved, which is the New Orleans-based movie.
Yep.
Tangled, which the poor Tangled potties.
I know. I mean, seriously, the movie is 10 times as better as the potties. I mean, let's put it that way.
Let's see what else we have here. Winnie the Pooh.
I didn't see this. I'll call it a remake or this rendition of it from July of 2011. I did not see that.
I'll tell you the God honest truth. I didn't even know they re-released it.
I knew that they did because they released it on video not too long after that, but it never really showed up on my radar. Maybe it's because I don't know. A lot of times, don't forget. A lot of times you go see a movie because you have kids that would want to go see that movie.
Did it go to theaters?
I thought it did. Yeah,
I'm just
because it premiered. Hold on a second. Yeah, it premiered in July of 2011. Wide release July 15th.
Okay. Hey, fair enough. You said
also, I know that this list here is only theatrical releases because they didn't necessarily list in this list things like the sequel to Aladdin or Little Mermaid, which were direct to home video releases.
Tim Burton, Nightmare Before Christmas, is that not considered a Disney animated movie? Because I thought in my book it was, and I didn't believe I saw it on the list. But also, I've never seen it. So
You know what? Hold on a second.
Yeah,
now,
you Google that.
Now I
I'll keep
have to.
going.
Yeah,
Okay, so he's doing that. So after Winnie the Pooh, which was 2011, we've got Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, which broke the internet. 1 year later, you have Big Hero 6, Zootopia, which Zootopia was an odd one because, if anybody looks this up, Disney is notorious for releasing movies in mid to late November, right before the holidays. And Zootopia came out in March. We have Moana, and Moana was the last Disney actual release movie, which was November 23rd of 2016. And I don't think anything is scheduled for 2017. I could be mistaken. What is it? I don't remember anything, but they are telling us 2018 once again will be Wreck-It Ralph, Breaks the Internet Part 2, then Frozen number 2, 2019, and so on and so forth.
I was actually originally thinking it was Coco, but Coco is actually done through Pixar.
Yes. So I don't think that they have one.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Did you find out about?
Yes, Nightmare Before Christmas was actually released through Touchstone Pictures, which is a Disney entity. It was actually done through Touchstone Pictures, Skellington Productions, how cute, as well as Walt Disney Pictures, not Walt Disney Animation Studios. So they did not necessarily, they didn't do it under the umbrella of Walt Disney Animation Studios.
And Alex also says it's not animated; it's considered stop motion.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of people think it might be animated. I'll be honest with you. That's a movie that I've only seen bits and pieces of. Just not really super my style of movie. I'm not a huge Tim Burton fan, but we'll have to figure out what it is.
Nope, Cars 3 wouldn't be it.
Cars 3's Pixar.
Pixar, man, they kill it. They absolutely kill it. So. Just before we leave here, ending on what the whole animated theory, I guess, what we basically all went about, talking about this, we appreciate all of you coming out, but this has nothing to do hand in hand. It wasn't done purposely, but as of a few hours ago, Disney has now canceled production on Jack and the Beanstalk, the inspired animated featuring the Gigantic was going to be the name of the movie.
Yeah.
We're getting releases from InsideTheMagic.com. They don't really go into craziness about what had happened. This movie Gigantic was announced at D23 Expo back in 2015 with Frozen songwriters Bobby Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez. At this point, Disney officials are scraping the movie and just decided to scrap it. But I mean, the thing is crazy is they've got trailers out, they've got promotionals out, they've been talking about it, not pumping the internet a lot with it, but there's been money invested, and just to scrap it makes you wonder and scratch your head like what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know about what's going on there. We'll probably be able to report more on it within the next 24 to 48 hours. But, the fact of the matter is, it's just really kind of weird when you see Disney just totally, totally can something like that. So we'll have to see what's going on. I kind of was interested in it. I mean, to basically adapt something to modern day, a fable to a modern day type of thing I think actually it's good storytelling, but we'll have to see how it goes.
So with that being said, guys, we're going to wrap this show up. Thank you all for tuning in to another fantastic episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. The first thing I would like to ask you guys to do is please go on the Disney community. It's called The Disney Community. On Facebook, it is our Facebook group. It is brought to you by Behind the Ears Podcast. We are all lumped together over there. Come check it out. With that being said, I am Uncle Danny. Please follow us on our social media platforms. Facebook is Behind the Ears Podcast. Instagram is Behind the Ears Podcast. And Twitter, because it's pesky, is Behind the Ears PC. If you have any listener questions, comments, or concerns, please send them all to Behind the Ears Podcast gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, which is the channel's Behind the Ears podcast. Lastly, from me, please, guys, go rate and review the show on iTunes. I know it sounds silly, but that's what helps people find the show, and that helps us climb the ladder. And I always forget when I say lastly, there's always one more. And that would be if you want to buy any Behind the Ears podcast products, anything that we have made from Behind the Ears, or simply just read some of our old blogs or find our archive shows, simply go to behindtheearspodcast.net. With that being said, guys, I am Uncle Danny. I am signing out.
And I'm Mr. Chris. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. I really hope that you enjoyed the show. At the same time, just wait for our next show, because we're going to continue this series with our top 5 each of Pixar movies. With that said, also don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. That way you get all the newest episodes right to your device of choice. You can do that through iTunes, Apple Podcast, Google Play Music, whatever your favorite podcast catcher is, they'll take care of it for you. But until we meet again, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate your support. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.